guys, welcome to another episode of the SoFLo Sports Show, episode 124. It's your host, 305 Sports Babe, co-host Lou from Dade, and a lot has happened since our last episode last Wednesday. As you guys probably remember, last Wednesday we had our friend, former Dolphin Fan of the Year 2021, Mark Angelo, join us. We were on the eve of Halloween Eve and also our Thursday night game against the Ravens. But ever since then, it has just been crazy. But before we get into anything sports, thoughts and prayers go out to Coach Spoelstra, Coach Eric Spoelstra, our coach of the Miami Heat. This morning, early morning, there was a huge house fire in his house in Coral Gables and completely destroyed his house. So he said he's going to coach tomorrow night, back in motion, but he's distraught and just a terrible blow for a man who's very well loved down here.
I'd also be remiss if we don't talk about the fact, the unfortunate situation that happened with a Cowboys player who apparently, I saw reports are saying that he maybe took his life.
He did.
Very, very sad, obviously, to see that. And we spent our time talking about sports, and so you never want to see something like that. So thoughts and prayers with his family.
Yeah, so just a lot of movement there. Well, the Dolphins are coming off first of all, we won in Atlanta. That was a big surprising win and fantastic win that we were there to witness live. Right. And then we go into this Thursday night game knowing that Lamar Jackson was going to come back, and we just get demolished on national TV. Yeah,
28-6. We had a lot of people on the show last week that were riding drinking the Kool-Aid, riding the wave, expecting the Dolphins, maybe not in time to repair the season and make up for how we started, but maybe, some kind of an umph there that we'd be able to see them capitalize. And unfortunately, 28-6, a total drubbing at the hands of the Baltimore Ravens, and we just could not figure it out. And then if that's not bad enough, you want to show the Halloween pictures really quick?
Yeah,
because I dressed up as Coach Mike McDaniel. And so if you want to post those up there.
I got you.
This is me and a fellow Mike McDaniel costume wearer. We have our gear on. I thought we looked pretty good there. And then here's Ashley as 305 Sports Babe interviewing Mike McDaniel. And I still have my props, my challenge flag, and my play sheet over here. It's backwards, which is actually pretty much the way that he's been calling plays this year. So
the big news is, which happened sure enough on Halloween Day, Grier and the Dolphins have separated ways. Funny story, we were actually in Disney World that day, and you and my father went on a ride, Soarin', a ride that I just can't do. And so I'm waiting for you guys to get off the ride, and I told you that, hey, Grier is no longer with the Dolphins, and you didn't believe me.
I could not believe it.
So that was just crazy to happen.
Yep. So they made it official. He'd been with the franchise for over 25 years.
Yeah.
In his capacity as a general manager for 10 years, and he finally gets the heave-ho, which not a lot of people expected that. And then to make things a little bit more complicated,
Jalen freaking Phillips, the U is no longer in the house.
Yeah, this was, I won't say it's surprising, but Jalen Phillips was an all-time fan favorite. Did everything right in the community. He unfortunately had his injuries betray his body, but he laid it all on the line, worked harder, great in the locker room, great teammate, great guy all around. So that was pretty sad to see him go out, but it's a trade that had to happen. As a matter of fact, we're going to get into it with our guest here in a second, that maybe more moves should have been made, but we got a third rounder back from the defending champion Philadelphia Eagles.
A little plug real quick. College basketball did start this week. Congratulations to your Arizona Wildcats. You guys beat Florida. What? The national championship Florida Gators. You guys stomped and stamped. Nice first game win. And then obviously my St. John's Johnnies destroyed Quinnipiac. So
what?
Quinnipiac.
I'm not sure if that's even a school, but
we play Alabama on this Saturday at 12 o'clock, so that's going to really test us. All right. So we have a great guest tonight. Somebody who we've had on the show before on a panel. So excited to have him back to just talk straight Bills with him. Ever since then, we have gone to Buffalo. So we're going to talk a little bit about that.
That's right. We're also going to talk about the amazing World Series that just took place. It went the distance, 7 games. It's just an all-time classic in the Fall Classic. So we're going to talk to our guests about it as well. And SoFLo Sports Show. So we'd have to talk about the Miami Hurricanes' horrific loss. The Heat and the Panthers are on the West Coast right now, and Inter Miami. And Messi has a huge game as well. But listen, without further ado, let's bring on our guest. He's been on the show, as you mentioned before. We did our AFC East preview show, but we have him all to ourselves this time. We're very excited to have him. He's a Bills writer for @Bills Updates, and as well as the NYUP And he's also the co-host of the Shout podcast, which is an amazing podcast. Caught it this afternoon. Last night's show was tremendous. And Shout obviously is a play on the Bills celebration song.
And so when we were in Buffalo,
which we heard a lot.
when we were at Highmark Stadium, I started singing and Lou was like, shut up, you can't say it. I'm like, it's just so catchy. So without further ado, Ryan, thank you for being on our show tonight. We're excited to have you.
Thank you, my man.
Hey, my pleasure. Happy to be on.
Yeah, so that's a true story. When we were in Highmark for that this Thursday night game, minding my business, and I'm just vibing close game, and Lou was like, stop singing. I didn't even realize it, but it was very catchy.
It's stuck in your head.
It is. I got to be honest. Every time I hear it now, because I got the Sirius radio and I play the classics, and when that song comes out, I have to have a slight pause and ease my mind. Also, Mr. Brightside, which is one of my favorite songs of all time. That was amazing to be in that stadium.
We had a great time
live
in Buffalo.
We
did.
I'm glad to hear that. I mean, the fan base, for the most part, is great toward opposing fans when they're traveling. Obviously, there's exceptions in Buffalo, every team for that matter. But I've heard nothing but good things from opposing fans that have come in for games the last few years, which makes me happy.
Yeah, even on it was Sunday night, we were in Disney, and Disney doesn't have many bars at all. Disney does not want you in bars. We stumbled upon a bar at Saratoga Springs with all Bills fans.
All Bills fans.
So we were watching the Chiefs-Bills game, and they had their Mickey ears of the Bills and everything. They took Mickey, but build him up. So literally build him up. So we had a great time. But all right, so let's get into it. We're going to talk about this Sunday's matchup in a little bit with you, but let's talk about the last 7 days and your opinion on it.
Yeah. Where would you like to start?
So, that's right. There's a lot to digest here. But we joined us on the AFC's previous show. We talked about, we went around with our panel, and you included, we asked, what did you think Mike McDaniel and Chris Grier had to do in order to keep their jobs, save their jobs? And you were very adamant about the fact that nothing less than a playoff game is what should be expected. So fast forward, it doesn't look like the Dolphins are going to make the playoffs at this point, haven't been officially eliminated, but I think we could say safely that they're not going to get there. And sure and behold, Chris Grier gets let go on Friday, but Mike McDaniel's still around. Did that surprise you that McDaniel, we talked about being tied at the hip, that McDaniel survived this first firing?
It didn't surprise me. I think they're going to let him ride it out. And you look at the coaching staff. I'm sure there were a few notable candidates they could have put in as that the head coach for the rest of the season. But it's a lot of roster juggling in terms of responsibilities for the coaching staff. I think the writing is on the wall, though, for Mike McDaniel that it's not going to last beyond this year, minus some really impressive turnaround where, I did say playoffs and a playoff win, but if he somehow rights the ship and gets them even close to 500, maybe they reevaluate it. But yeah, I think that this is it for that experience. And to be fair, I think that's probably the way to go. You're going to have a new GM. You're going to have a new head coach come in. You want to make sure that those two are in sync. It's always difficult when you have a head coach that's still lurking or sitting around when there's a new GM coming in, because sometimes that relationship doesn't last very long.
Yeah. So
GM, by the way, is Champ Kelly, not Chip Kelly, but Champ Kelly is the new GM. He had some time with the Raiders organization, so he's the one calling the shots on an interim basis for now. Yeah.
So Grier's out. McDaniels is here for now, and I mean he should. You mentioned he may stay in our minds. He's out, whether it happens next week in Spain or when he comes home from Spain or soon after that or at the end of the season. So we kind of have the mentality that this is like a lost season. Obviously, Jalen Phillips is no longer with us to the Eagles. We kind of thought that the Dolphins were going to be more sellers. Even Bradley Chubb might have moved. Obviously, we didn't happen. So what are your takes on the Dolphins really making just one move on the field with Jalen Phillips?
Yeah, I hated it, if I'm being quite honest, because I'm right with you two. I thought that this should have been a teardown minus a select few. I know that when Champ came in, there was they'll even listen to offers for Jalen Waddle. I said, well, that's the last thing you want to do, because you're going to be going back for another quarterback in the near future. You want there to be a steady presence for that, whoever that is. Waddle's a really good player, if not great player. So that was the only player I said, okay, he should be off limits, but Bradley Chubb, Judon, Minka Fitzpatrick, aging players that they're not going to be part of this upcoming rebuild or whatever you want to call it. I think it should be a tear down and rebuild. So to get whatever you could for them, I felt like should have been what their main priority was. Now, don't want to deal with the Bills, the Patriots. I totally get that, but there had to be other teams calling. There was rumors of Dallas perhaps trying to get Minka Fitzpatrick. So anything, any kind of quality pick, day 3 pick, even at that, take it, get all the resources you can. As for the Jalen Phillips deal, I loved it from the perspective that you were able to get a day 2 pick on that deal. But at the same time, it's like, why does anyone make deals with Philadelphia and Kansas City? Like those teams,
Big Patriots
dynasty. I know. And the Patriots dynasty too, like them getting Randy Moss and all that stuff. Like, man, if I see that number, I'm not answering. If I'm a GM, I'm going anywhere else, because when I look at Philly and I look at the NFC, there's a good chance that they run the table again in that conference. And now, depending on what 3rd round pick you guys ended up getting, that could end up being closer to a round 4 pick at the end of the day. So you got something for Phillips, which I think is good, and it's a quality pick. But I was shocked that there wasn't more deals to be done.
The one that really, I know we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but were the Jets. And it was like almost like Oprah. You get sauce, you get this. Like the Jets were like on a roll, but
No, guys, if you're watching over on X or Twitter, come on over, show Ryan Talbot some love. He's amazing. It's got all the details, all you want, and so please come on over, show him some love. Remember to like tonight's episode and subscribe to the channel.
Barista Benny in the house, just jumping on and say much love to you guys. Our friend Mike from the West Coast. So thank you guys for tuning in tonight.
That's right. All right. So Ryan, let's shift gears here and talk about the crazy developments that happened in New York on Wednesday. And by the way, I'm not talking about the election. So
we're expecting a lot. They said we're expecting an influx of New Yorkers down here. We're like, we're too crowded.
No, listen, no political talk here. I always joke because politics.
You make fun of my accent every day, Lois.
I don't like it when people get into politics, and sports is a great example of it, right? Like obviously sports is way far on the back burner, but the fact that people like us, diehard fans, Ryan, big Bills person, we can, interact and have pleasantries. Now, 1 o'clock kickoff comes until that game is over. We're not going to be agreeing on things, but I never understood why people got into political differences. But anyways,
okay.
I want to get back to the situation here with what really happened in New York. And I'm talking about, the Jets making these huge trades with the Colts and with the Cowboys, resulting in 3 first-round picks and a second-round pick. What was your take on that?
I loved it. They have to hit the picks, and that's easier said than done. But they have positioned themselves to find a franchise quarterback, which is the biggest problem that they've had for quite some time now. You can look back and say, well, maybe they had it in Sam Darnold, and they just didn't develop him properly. He's playing pretty good football right now. He's pretty good in Minnesota as well. But this is the opportunity for them to get everything right. And they're the next 2 draft classes, not so much this year, but 2 years from now, that wide receiver group is going to be really good. They're going to have some ammo to get another weapon along with Garrett Wilson there. You get the quarterback right, and all of a sudden, then they're positioned with the Bills. They're positioned with New England because Drake May has been phenomenal. And it does put, not to make everything doom and gloom for Miami, but it puts Miami in a tough spot where they're going to be that team that might be waiting on that quarterback still, where maybe 3 teams in this division have a franchise guy.
No doubt. And that's, I got into it with some people on Twitter because they were saying, hey, I'm being a negative Nancy. But the reality is that Darren Muji made a big move here. He took a chance. And a lot of people say, well, it's the Jets, the same thing. But Darren Muji is a brand new GM there. And their coach, Aaron Glenn, is a brand new coach. So they should get the benefit of the doubt to, get these players drafted into their system, their plan.
And build it up from there.
I think long-term looks good as opposed to Miami, which just got rid of their GM and is likely going to get rid of their coach. But to recap the trades that were made, Sauce Gardner goes to the Colts, and they gave up a first-rounder this year and a first-rounder next year. And then they gave up defensive tackle Quinnen Williams to the Cowboys for a first-rounder next year and a second-rounder this year. So they are really set up nicely. And then, as you mentioned, Ryan, the fact that with trading these players, they're likely to lose more games along the way, including to us at this point. And they are going to be set up to get the quarterback of their liking, of their choice, whether it's this year or next year, if they wanted to. And it just, again, they have 5 picks now where they can really dictate their future, as opposed to Miami, which, as we discussed at the top of the program here, they did not make those moves to set themselves nicely and get additional draft capital.
Yeah, and when you look at, Quinnen Williams, I'll start there. One of my favorite players just to watch in general, but he's still in his late 20s. By the time the Jets get the right players in, hypothetically, with this new regime, he's going to be near 30 or on the wrong side of 30. And then you're going to be sitting there saying we probably could have gotten something for him, and they ended up getting a good deal there. Sauce Gardner, there's some risk there because I like Sauce Gardner a lot. I think he's regressed the last 2 years to a certain extent, which, when you're playing the way that he is, press man, you're going to hold a lot. You're going to get caught holding. You may be playing back a little bit here in Indy. Let him kind of just use his instincts and natural abilities, but you're going to be able to get players in the mold of what Aaron Glenn wants. And that's not to say Sauce Gardner couldn't fit in there. Talented guy. But now you can get all those pieces. And they've just shed a ton of contracts by making these trades as well. So they're going to be pretty cap healthy in the near future, which helps when you have, potentially your franchise quarterback on a rookie deal, another weapon at wide receiver on a rookie deal with all these picks. So they're putting themselves and positioning themselves to really make noise in the AFC East and the AFC as a whole.
And just to put the Jets to sleep, Sauce Gardner was a favorite by many, many little Jets boys and girls fans. And there's been so many videos circulated that when their parents told them Sauce Gardner is no longer with the Jets, these kids lost their complete crap. It doesn't break your heart, but we've always been there, right? We've all had one of our favorite players get traded or retired. So these new Jet fans, not only are they dealing with a terrible season, then one of their idols gets traded. So poor Jets, but things will get better, I do believe. Yes. But let's talk about the Bills. You guys, under your general manager, Brandon Beane, you really didn't make any moves. The Patriots, surprisingly enough, are in first place. You guys are in second in the AFC East. And if the playoffs were to start today, you guys would be the 5th seed going into the playoffs. Your defense has been so-so. So with that, are you surprised that you guys weren't a little aggressive at all for the trades?
Yeah, for sure. And Brandon Beane even admitted that he went home ticked off on Tuesday because nothing could get done. And there were certain deals, he said, based on Buffalo's cap space, that he knew were off the board the day before that, because the opposing team that he would have traded with hypothetically would have had to restructure a deal with a player on that team for the Bills to be able to bring on that contract. So they came in on Tuesday, and I think they had a very limited board of what they could afford. They restructured Taron Johnson's contract and only had about $3.5 million in cap space, which all of that couldn't be devoted to that player, hypothetically. You need money for roster moves in season when injuries occur and stuff like that. So they were very financially, tied up. So it was going to be very difficult. And that's why when you got close to the deadline, there were rumors of the Bills maybe making a deal for Deebo Samuel and Von Miller with the Commanders. And, I had mixed feelings on that when I saw Tim Graham of The Athletic report it, because it's something. I don't know how 2 aging veterans would have really fit into the mix here. It's definitely not what the Bills needed at wide receiver. They needed a game changer. I think Brandon Beane went in, really tried to find someone over these last few weeks at wide receiver that could have been a difference maker. And then when Michael Hoyt went down against Kansas City this past week, trying to maybe find a player that could fit along that defensive line. It's just nothing materialized, and he was the first to say there weren't AFC East teams that wanted to kind of play ball. So it sounds like he called Miami, he called New York. They didn't want to deal players within the division. And truth be told, those are 2 teams that have 2 of the worst records in the league. They were going to be sellers. So that took 2 big options off the board for him. And I think it really limited who he could talk to and try to get.
Fair.
Makes sense.
If it wasn't there, you're not going to force anything that's
not
there.
No, and a lot of people were saying that down here too. You got to wait for your right offer. You don't settle, and that's the key here. Do you wish that the NFL trade deadline is at the right time of the year? I guess we're at the halfway point, but it used to be a lot earlier. Are you okay with it being around this time?
Late October, early November.
Yeah, I think mid-season is fair game. I hated it where it was previously because there were always so many teams that were maybe bordering 500, so they didn't want to sell at that point. Now, at this point of the year, if you're around 500 or less than that, you have a pretty good inkling of where you stand in your division, in your conference, and that has led to more trades in the past few seasons. So I think it's in a good spot. I wouldn't be opposed for it getting pushed back even further. I just don't know if that would ever happen.
Ryan, we're going to go into the chat. We have Jeremy in the chat. Jeremy is he covers a lot of things, Panthers, but his big thing is FSU. He has a question for you. He said, Ryan, is Keon Coleman in the doghouse?
Ooh, I don't want to say he's in the doghouse, but I feel like, Brandon Beane has kind of put him on blast a little bit at the deadline, saying there's some things he needs to do better at this point than what he has done. Opportunities have been there. He gets a few targets every game. He just, the limited skill set is preventing him from being a number one receiver on this roster. The problem is the Bills don't have a true number one on this roster. You look up and down, Khalil Shakir is the player that Josh Allen has the most chemistry with in the wide receiver room, because I can mention Dalton Kincaid, which I'll get to in a minute. But of the receivers, Shakir is his guy. You're going to have Joshua Palmer back perhaps this week against Miami. He's practiced 2 days now. He was having a good first quarter against Atlanta, 2 catches, 60 yards. Then he suffered that injury, and then the offense didn't look right after that. So maybe he is going to come on and establish himself after signing a big contract in free agency. Curtis Samuel is just kind of there despite having signing a moderately nice deal last year in free agency for about $8 million per season. They just have a lot of guys. They don't have that player that takes the attention off of them, makes life easier for them, like Stephon Diggs did in his tenure here in Buffalo. And now it's about finding the right mix. Dalton Kincaid has really stepped up, had a really good game against Kansas City. In terms of how Miami has matched up against tight ends this year, I could see him having another really nice game. James Cook has obviously stepped up, but the wide receiver room is just not rising to the occasion, and that includes Keon Coleman.
You mentioned Stephon Diggs, and I can't help but think he's in a lot of trouble these days. He has apparently like 4 women pregnant at the same time.
Oh.
I'm sure, I don't know if you guys have heard, but Cardi B won, and then he has twins.
Oh,
yeah, no, he's digging his way around.
He's digging his way around for sure. So
yeah,
we'll see.
So yeah, no, he's in a lot of
all right, shifting gears here.
Yeah.
Let's get into the matchup on Sunday. And so it's 1:00. The Bills come into town at 6-2. They've won their last 2 here in a row. Previous to a very convincing win at Carolina 2 weeks ago, 40-9, and then a very nice win at home against the AFC defending champion Chiefs.
But they lost against the Falcons, who we beat.
So you beat the Chiefs there, and yet another nail biter between the two teams that comes down to the last possession. It seems like every Chiefs-Bills game comes down to the final 3 seconds of the game. It's incredible. Previous to that, you end up dropping 2 in a row, one at home to the Patriots, which surprised a lot of people that Mike Vrabel was able to get the Patriots at this level so quick. Now, still a long ways to go, but they're currently the leaders. And then a pretty bad loss at Atlanta on the road. So do you think with this 2-game winning streak, have the Bills righted the ship since that the 2-game losing streak there?
Yeah, I feel like they have. And a lot of it starts on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think the Bills will admit it, but it feels like since the second half of the Atlanta game, Sean McDermott has taken over play calling duties. Now, he's said that, he and Bobby Babich have shared that responsibility for some time now, and it's a partnership and they're working together. But you see the play sheet in McDermott's hands. You see him covering his mouth when the Bills are on defense. He's clearly calling these plays in, and that's why the Atlanta game, for instance, was probably as close as it was in the second half, because they really stabilized in the second half. The first half, they couldn't stop Bijan Robinson. They couldn't stop Drake London. It was very close to being a first half blowout if it wasn't for a few mistakes on Atlanta's part. London not being able to stay in bounds late on that play that looked like it was a touchdown, and some other, costly errors here and there. But since then, the defense has looked really, really good against Carolina, and the Bills win that game 40-9, and everyone's like, oh, Carolina, I guess they're not really, I don't want to say for real, but they've shown a lot of improvement this season. But after the Bills beat them that badly, they're not that great. Lo and behold, they go and beat the Green Bay Packers this past week. So that is a good win for the Bills. And then against the Chiefs, that defense was unbelievable. They did a lot of things differently. 3 safeties on the field. They threw a few wrinkles at the Chiefs. I don't think that they were prepared for. They were getting great pressure from their front 4. That's been the biggest issue over the McDermott years, is they haven't been able to win with their front 4. And, Joey Bosa turned the clock back, looked unbelievable in that matchup. Hoyt, unfortunately, suffered the big-time injury, but he was great again in that game up until the injury. Greg Rousseau is really coming on. AJ Epinesa, who's currently in the concussion protocol, but he had some nice plays. So they're getting contributions there, and that's been the biggest thing. So it does really feel like they have righted the ship, and it feels like the Bills could go on a mini run if they can keep that defense playing at this level.
Shout out to Cap, our brother Cap, ladies and gentlemen. He also mentioned Tanner Connor did get cut from the Dolphins today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, that did happen.
I didn't catch that. But you mentioned Bosa. Bosa looked like a man possessed out there, and they were really making life tough for Mahomes. He was not comfortable out there at all. They hit him a couple times right before he got out of bounds. They really made him think twice, and so that was really impressive to watch. The Bills controlled him.
So follow-up question, I mentioned Atlanta, and then you carried with it. So we were in Atlanta 2 weeks ago for my 26th birthday.
So was Ryan.
I thought you were going to catch me there. Yeah. You didn't catch me. Good.
Oh,
good job.
26.
26. Yeah, we were out there, and then you were there as well. So curious to know your thoughts on Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought it was pretty cool. Now, I will say the traffic in Atlanta, that was a bit of a nightmare getting there to the game and having to weave through traffic where our Uber dropped us off to get to the stadium. But overall, I was very impressed. That I loved the interior of it. I love that they, the ability to open the rooftop. I really felt that's something the Bills should have done with this new stadium that they have opening up. Really impressed, though, with everything there. The press box was great. I'm a big fan of the open air press box where you can hear everything. There's no, no glass panel in front of you. And not that people are going to care watching this, but the people or the food there for the media was outstanding. They have
and regular people too.
Yeah,
excellent.
Both.
Yeah,
garlic.
Yeah, I've heard that too. But like soft serve ice cream machines, I'm like, they're winning me over in Atlanta.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
We got group tickets for that game, and all the group tickets came loaded with a $10 credit.
Yeah.
And
nice.
$10 credit over there. I mean,
I got 4 slices of pizza, garlic knots, 2 bottles of water for $10. And it was delicious.
Yeah. I could not believe it.
It was so good.
Every
it was
stadium
fantastic.
should do that. Every stadium should do that.
Agree.
1,000%.
Because you'd have more return customers. I mean, you're not just going to have one pizza, you have 2, and it's customer friendly. It's the right way to do it.
But we're still feeling that. Like, we've been saying we're going to start our diet, and
we're walking that off. The other thing about the stadium is great in-game entertainment. They had a lot of cool stuff out there. Yeah. Just a really pleasant place to watch a game. I also had a great exchange with Ryan. You mentioned age earlier. Ryan was able to see Jeezy, not young Jeezy, because and Ryan made a point to say, hey, credit to him for knowing his age range and dropping the young Jeezy. Of course, Ryan is still young Ryan if he was a rapper, because he still got the youth movement going on. So, but yeah, that was a good exchange between us there.
Ryan, sticking with stadium. So you guys are getting your new stadium. When we were in Buffalo in September, we were like, okay, this is pretty cool. By the way, we mentioned before, we had such an amazing time with Bill. As soon as we parked, the Bills fans next to us were like, do you want a beer? And I'm like, are they trying to poison us now?
No. Back when we parked, I didn't know, we weren't prepared for it. We were trying to walk around as much as possible. Yeah. So I asked him, hey, can I buy a beer off you? And he goes, buy a beer off me?
Yeah.
How many would you like? I mean, just offering us beers, just giving us insight of where to go to the stadium. I
did the bowling ball thing where I did the bowling ball.
Yeah.
And then Lou was like, why'd you put your mouth on that? I was like, okay, then maybe you don't have to kiss me. So we just had a great time. But speaking of the stadium, the new stadium, have you had an opportunity to tour it yet? Or you're still kind of looking in the distance at it for now?
Yeah, still looking in the distance at it for now. They've brought in the news the 3 main news stations, and they have really enjoyed it. I can't wait, though, to check it out. I'm excited. Everyone telling me about it is raving about what it's going to be like for the media, the press box there, but just the stadium as a whole. The outside, I couldn't believe last year how much progress they were making on a week-to-week basis when I would go and cover a game and look across the street and say, oh, that wasn't there last week or 2 weeks ago. And now you look at it, it looks almost like a finished product. It's not quite there yet, but it looks so, I don't want to say futuristic, but compared to the old stadium, it does look futuristic. It doesn't look like something that necessarily belongs in Orchard Park, but the fans deserve this stadium, and I can't wait to be in there next year. I want to really see how they talked about how you're not going to have the gusting winds from side to side in this new stadium. The way they built it, it's not going to affect kickers in that way. So we'll wait and see. I want to see if the science truly backs that up, but there's a lot to be excited about there.
We loved current Highmark Stadium. We actually made a comment to each other saying, like, this stadium is really not bad. Like, we thought you guys could get more years. Obviously, we don't go there every Sunday. Right. But we didn't have any.
We enjoyed it. The scoreboard's a little smaller. I'm sure it's going to be bigger than the new one. But besides that, really cool stadium, very loud. And we had a very good time. A little traumatizing for a Dolphin fan to go in there and see all those Bills greats that did a lot of damage to us. But besides that,
the only one damage was O.J. Simpson, and you were the one who was like OJ. I'm like, that's the only damage in him up there.
Jeez, no, but okay, all right. So getting back to the food aspect here, Ryan. I had a great time on my wing tour. I know you had given me some tips. Antoine Staley gave me some tips.
Yeah.
I know that you also, I don't know if you did it in the Shout podcast or you had another venture going on, but you were also at Wing Nuts, right? Yeah. So you did some kind of promo with them. They were great.
You love it.
We took some
at the airport,
Got some at the airport and took it to go. So we loved it. So how was that promo that you did with Wing Nuts, and what are some of your favorite wing spots around Buffalo?
Yeah, so Wing Nuts, we do a monthly show there. They're one of our sponsors. Their signature sauce is my personal favorite. So rave about that. They do make like a tangy Talbot once or twice a year that they throw on the menu. So, you feel like you've made it when you have a chicken wing named after you, I have to say. Now, not saying I have, but it's still cool nonetheless. But there's so many good spots in Buffalo. Yeah. Honestly, you could go to any hole in the wall and you're going to get great wings in Buffalo. But Barbill is very popular, and rightfully so. They're great. Elmo's is a popular spot. 911 Tavern. I'm gonna miss a few here. Mulberry, Danny's. Yeah. There's just so many. You can't go wrong.
Well, let's keep it a Wing Nuts, and I love the fact that you're doing a promo with them. You partnered up with them because that was, again, that's the one that I took home with us on the plane.
We took so much food in our carry-ons. Oh my gosh!
But specifically Wing Nuts. So happy to know that you've partnered up with them because
that was our last stop.
I definitely put my stamp of approval on that.
Yeah, we were still up by the airport, and we were like, we're gonna take this on the plane. She's like, that's totally common. A lot of flight attendants and pilots do. So they wrapped it up nicely. But anyways, let's go back to the game. You guys are 6-2. Bills Mafia, well, it's a takeover, 1,000%. Like elbow room, Fort Lauderdale. You guys are coming into great weather. You guys are 9-point favorites. Ryan, what do you think, honestly, is going to happen Sunday here in Miami Gardens?
Well, it's going to be interesting because the Bills injury report continues to be a laundry list of players. And one addition that is new to the injury list is Christian Benford, Buffalo's top cornerback. He tweaked something with his groin on Wednesday and appeared on the injury report. And we knew that it was a new injury because Sean McDermott did not list him with all the players prior to practice starting. And then today he did not practice at all. So there's a chance that the Bills are down their top corner, which makes it very interesting in terms of, Jalen Waddle and how much success he could have against the secondary. It also puts a spotlight, though, on Max Harrison, who had a phenomenal game against Kansas City. Played a lot of press man against Xavier Worthy. I was really impressed with his snaps against Carolina the week before that. And they're kind of working him up, building him up a little bit in terms of his snap count. But if for some reason Benford can't go, you're going to see a lot of Max Harrison. You'll see Trey White out there. Looks like Taron Johnson's going to potentially be back as that nickel cornerback in this matchup. But that's one thing where I could see the Dolphins finding some success in their passing game if they don't have Benford.
Kirk's in the house. Kirk is our tailgate brother. We tailgate with him every home game. He said Fort Lauderdale will be all Buffalo. He's going to hang out in Hollywood and Fort Lauderdale by the sea with them, essentially. And then
sorry.
Go
back to that.
Don't know what you did.
Sorry about that. But
no touch.
Don't touch.
No touch.
No, but yeah, and the elbow room specifically will be all Bills fans. I think starting tonight, if I could be honest.
They started flying in, yeah.
Yeah. But going back to with Kirk, there's Robert Purvis as well.
He goes, I want to talk so much trash, but I can't. We suck with that. He already put a score prediction. Miami 31, Buffalo 28. Okay.
Whoa, he said an upset, so he's talking trash.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But Robert, we got our question coming up right now, and Kirk's in room 2 is our leader. So we're going to go into our question, and it actually has to do with our buddy Cap here is asking, Ryan, he wants to know if James Cook is playing. He also came up kind of on an injury report, but he says that he will be playing. And I want to highlight also, Ryan, that you wrote a great article. Was it on Bills Update or what James Cook said about the Dolphins? Was that on Bills Update?
Yeah, so Bills Update's like our social media handle on Twitter or X, and then it's on nyup.com or syracuse.com for the writing platforms. But yeah, they're all one and the same essentially. Yes.
So shots fired, and I encourage everybody to read the article because James Cook kind of mixes it up a little bit and says some disparaging thing about the Dolphins. Again, all good and fair and a rivalry, and James Cook definitely put it out there. So I encourage you guys to check that out, see what he has to say. So with that, we have our leaderboard here. As you can see, Kirk is in there. Robert, you are at 3 points as well, but you didn't take part last week, so you're not on there, but you have 3 also. And that's our leaderboard right now.
All right, so Ryan, Lou, I don't know if you know, but he does a question every week. So this is this week's question. Week number 10. Bills or Dolphins, who will cover the 10.5 spread? And then James Cook combined total rushing and receiving yards over or under 115.5.
Yes.
So we want you to answer it. And then as you're answering it, the chat stays open.
I want to be fair. Ryan, I'm not sure if you're okay with doing a point spread or you're all right.
Yeah, absolutely. No worries.
Yeah, so I did. It's a 9 right now. I saw it at 9.5. And just because to add fun to it, I did increase it by 1 point. So I made it 10.5. So look, I think everybody is going to, if we ask if the Dolphins or Bills are going to win, except for, who was it?
Robert Purvis Jr.
Robert was very bold and took a really crazy shot saying the Dolphins are going to pull this thing out. But I think everybody can
fair.
Can just.
They would say that the Bills should win on Sunday. Just facts on facts.
Correct.
Yes.
So I'm basically saying that the line's 10.5 with a spread, and I'm saying, are the Dolphins going to make this thing competitive, or would the Bills get the blowout? So that's the first question. And then, as mentioned, James Cook had some pretty tough words to say about the Dolphins. So the Dolphins might want to, focus on him here. So combined rushing and receiving, is he going to have over or under 115.5 yards? So Ryan, we'll let you answer those questions.
Yeah. So starting with the first one, it's funny. My gut tells me the Bills could really blow this open in this game. The defense is finally playing well. The offense is showing some signs of life. But if I look at it, even over Buffalo's 7-game win streak, I believe 5 of 7 of those games have been decided by 10 points or less. So for that reason, just how historically close these games have been, I'll say that the Dolphins covered the 10.5 point spread in the first one. But I am going to go over the combined 115.5 for James Cook. He did go on Kay Adams' show today, say he was going to play. They did tape up his ankle the first 2 drives of the Chiefs game, but he was still running the ball so effectively. This offensive line is playing great football, whether it's a jumbo package, which they've done a little bit, the extra tight ends. They're just paving the way for him. So knowing he can rip off a big run at any point, I like him to potentially even just do that on the ground alone. Because they haven't utilized him very well as a receiver this year. He did have a huge catch in a meaningful moment on a 3rd down play that helped, take a lot of time off the clock late in the game, which looked like it was going to set up a potential field goal that would have put the game away, but hit off the post instead. So I will go over the 115.5 though for Cook.
Okay, those are fair. And guys, if you're watching again on X or Twitter, come on over, answer the question. We'll put it back up, but answer that question. And more importantly, come over and show Ryan some love. Ryan is tremendous. We're very grateful for him joining us tonight, giving him us the perspective of Bills Mafia, what they have to say out there about this matchup coming up. And yeah, to your point, with Jalen Phillips also being out, Jalen Phillips does tend to over pursue a little bit also. So, but he's
also been injured too.
He's been injured as well, but he also is very. He's a great defender. Gets to the quarterback, and his contain wasn't always in the right mind frame, so that might.
He'll be a superstar in Philadelphia.
He probably will.
Fangio will make that man a superstar.
He probably will, but it'll probably help obviously James Cook in getting over as well, as you mentioned. And yeah, going back to the Dolphins and Bills, the outright cover. Look, we saw it this past Thursday, or not this past Thursday, but a previous meeting on Thursday Night Football. a lot of people thought that was going to be a blowout, and the Dolphins it's a one-score game, specifically a field goal away down the stretch before Tua gave the ball away, but they were right there with them, and I don't think a lot of people thought that game would be close in Buffalo. So in a rivalry situation, you never know what's going to happen.
So before we shift gears real quick and just talk a little baseball, we like to have people put their score prediction into the chats now. So guys, go ahead in the chat, put your score prediction for this Sunday's matchup. Bills are coming down to Hard Rock Stadium. It's a 1:00 kickoff. Weather's supposed to be hot. I already looked. It's going to be steamy. The cold front doesn't come till next week. So you guys will have some weather. So go ahead and put your score prediction in the chat. So as they do that, before we let you go, let's shift gears and talk a little postseason baseball. Best words came out this World Series, Game 7. It was intense. It was a great series. But you live in, upstate New York. We generally found out that, there are a lot of Yankee fans. There's also a lot of Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah.
You are not a Blue Jays fans. You're Yankee fans. Right. So do you feel that, just going off, do you feel that more Bills fans are going more Yankees or more Blue Jays, if you had to say?
I still think it's Yankees for more, but the last few years, I think that Toronto has gained a ton of fans in Buffalo because there was that period of time where they were all here in the minors with the Buffalo Bisons, and there was the period of time where they were playing at the stadium a few years ago. So they added a lot of fans from Buffalo in the last 5 to 7 years. And I can continue to see that growing as long as the Blue Jays continue to be as competitive as I think they can be.
Yeah, we when we went to Toronto, we stayed at the hotel, the Toronto Marriott, and it was just an amazing experience on a not even game day. Yeah. So I can imagine what the atmosphere is, what they see game days, and then obviously postseason. We
went right after the Bills-Dolphins game, and we went up there, and we were advised that if you were staying at a hotel while the Blue Jays were away, which they were on a long road trip, you had a very good odds of getting upgraded to a stadium room view, and it was pretty awesome. So nice. I actually posted a video. So right before this show, you can go over to YouTube. It's a 3-minute video, pretty much shows you the layout of the room and how you have this amazing view from your balcony of the stadium, which is pretty, for baseball lovers like us and sports fans in general, it is maybe the best view you can find. So, all right, Ryan, so I want to talk about the series in itself. It went the distance, 7 games, including 2 extra inning games. Game 3, of course, went 18 innings before Freddie Freeman walked it off with the home run. And then Game 7 went 11 innings. Will Smith ended up getting the go-ahead game-winning home run. Miguel Rojas tied it. Former Marlin. Our
guy.
Miguel Rojas tied it in the top of the 9th, I should say.
Yeah, but Will Smith came in.
And Toronto was 2 outs away from winning it all. So what did you make of this amazing World Series?
Yeah, it was unbelievable, first and foremost, going the distance like that, the back and forth games, some of the comebacks, the extra inning matchups. I was torn on it because I can't speak as a Yankees fan because obviously their payroll is massive, but you see the Dodgers and the fact that they're spending so much money, you kind of want to see the underdog win in those situations. Then I had my mixed feelings with Vlad Guerrero Jr. kind of making fun of the Yankees after they got eliminated. So I was like, I don't want them to win either. Yeah. So I was like, oh, can they both lose somehow? But no, obviously not. I was still finding myself in the moment thinking maybe the Blue Jays, if they won, I'd be happy for them, especially because of Ernie Clement, Rochester kid. That's where the Bills have their training camps. Set a new MLB record for 30 postseason hits. I thought he was going to win it with that hit that he had in the outfield, and the 2 Dodgers outfielders kind of collided, but still caught the ball. Yeah. So that would have been such a cool moment locally for a player. And it would have been cool because sure enough, as soon as that series was over, he comes back to Rochester and he's at the Pittsford pub watching the Bills-Chiefs game, and there's pictures of all these kids getting their photo with them. So at the end of the day, he's still a big fan of, the Bills. So it would have been good to see Clement and the Blue Jays win it, but unfortunately didn't go that way.
No, and you're talking about Andy Pages and Kike Hernandez that almost collide. They did collide.
It was crazy.
Kike Hernandez fell out, and Pages made a play that saved the game at that point.
Yep.
And then right after that, Rojas hits the game-tying home run, and then in the 10th inning, both teams traded bases-loaded outs at the plate, which you never see that in one game alone, let alone an inning. Both teams did it. So just incredible World Series. The MVP?
Yamamoto.
Yamamoto.
Yes.
Yoshinobu Yamamoto was the MVP. He won 3 games in the World Series.
And what we're excited is the World Baseball Classic is going to be down here in Miami. We bought the strip, obviously being Marlins season ticket holders. We got first dibs on those. So Japan's slated to be be here. So we are so excited to see that.
They are the defending champs. You got Yamamoto and Shohei Ohtani, which is still maybe the best player in the world. So that's exciting. So did you think this will go down as the greatest World
Steven
Series?
Said that. Steven in the house, he said nice words about us. And he goes, one of the all-time greatest Game 7s, if not the best I've ever seen. You've seen a lot of Yankees World Series and all that. Taking out your bias with the Yankees, is this the best World Series you've ever seen?
It probably is, to be quite honest. I mean, if you're not looking at it from like an emotional perspective, because my brother's a diehard Cubs fan, so when they won it all, like I was thrilled. I thought that was a great World Series because they broke that curse. In terms of pure baseball and entertainment, this is probably going to be one of the best ever. And I'm happy for Major League Baseball because they needed something like this. The ratings were phenomenal. I feel like they've really solved something with the pitch clock and speeding up the games. That was always my biggest problem is whether it's the Yankees game or anything else, you'd sit down on the couch, you'd watch this game that started at 1 o'clock and it'd be 4:30, 5 o'clock, and it's still going on because some games both teams are hitting or whatever, hitting it well, but it was so long. And when you have 162 games in a season, it's hard to invest in each and every one of them. Where if it's a football game, there's only so many in a season, and 1 to 4 o'clock, no problem committing that once a week versus 5 times a week for that much time. So they're really starting to get things right. I feel like in baseball, they have so much star power across the league. But in terms of this World Series, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Even Miss Finn said she that covers the Dolphins as well. One of the best Game 7s for sure.
Just the pace of it too, right? Because football and basketball move so fast, but the buildup, the drama in baseball between pitches, when the game's on the line, it's just so tense, and you can't replicate it. And also the fact that there's no clock. You got to get the outs. The clock's not going to run out on you. You could keep on playing so long as you could keep on hitting or throwing strikes. And so it's a beautiful game. And like you mentioned, the winners here were the fans that got to see a tremendous show for 7 games.
Yeah, our spring training schedule just got released yesterday. My boss was the first one to send it. You sent it to me, and you said, babe, what games are we going to already? Yeah. So even though it just ended, we're already looking forward to it.
Yep. Well, Ryan, thank you again for joining us. We're going to let you plug everything you got going on, but we did talk about this on our preview show, AFC's preview show. We definitely want Richmond Webb to get into the Hall of Fame. This is the sticker that we had made that says Great 78s, the battle between Bruce Smith and Richmond Webb. And, of course, as Dolphin Nation, we got to support Steve Tasker's journey into hopefully being a Hall of Famer again as well. So definitely, unfortunately, you're not going to be down here. We were hoping you would be down in Miami, but we want to get these stickers out to you, and we'll collab in the future to definitely bring mention to
Lou just wants to go meet you at Wingnuts is what he's saying.
We will make that happen soon. We will.
You can say the fluff talk. You just want to know when his next show.
I want to see the Shout podcast live in person, and I'm sorry, I'm going to have to fly out to Buffalo to do that. So don't worry, I deliver them to you, Ryan.
So Ryan, where can people find you rest of the season? What you got going on? Tell them.
Yeah, you can find me on most social media platforms at Ryan Talbot Bills. You can find my work at Syracuse.com, NYUp.com. And then you can find the Shout Buffalo Football podcast on your favorite podcast platform. We stream live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. And then we have a collaboration with Channel 4 News. Bills Kickoff Live makes me want to shout. So we do that live once a week, Tuesdays, 4 p.m. And then you can also stream that on the WIVB Plus app on any smart TV.
Awesome. Well, you guys know where to find him. So we, although you won't be here this weekend, your Bills Mafia is multiplied in a million. So your presence will be known. And we look forward to talking to you in the future.
Yes, thank you so much, Ryan. You have a good night and good luck on Sunday. We can say that.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, have a good night. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ryan.
Great night.
I wouldn't put it past the Dolphins to win on Sunday.
I don't think so.
We also said that about the Falcons, but look what happened.
Yeah, I don't think so. But listen, shout out to Ryan again.
He's amazing.
Definitely follow him. He is great at what he does, and so definitely give him a follow and follow everything he does.
So he mentioned Syracuse, and I don't want to keep him longer, but obviously you guys know the Hurricanes play Syracuse this week. The Hurricanes are on the struggle bus right now. They lost against Louisville. They lost against SMU.
Yeah.
And you cannot take this Syracuse team lightly.
Yeah.
So they better figure it out.
Yeah, Mario Cristobal, really conservative game plan. Again, this past Saturday, had an opportunity to maybe, take the lead before overtime, and he basically took a knee and settled to go into overtime as opposed to trying to maybe get a couple more possessions. He had timeouts as well, at least one timeout. And so you really got to start to wonder, because at this point, he's costing, in my opinion, the team an opportunity to be as great as they have potentially to be with that roster and all the transfers that came over. So, it's going to be tough. And look, the rest of the schedule, even if they were to have a big victory against Syracuse, there's not a lot of big teams left on the schedule. You only got Pittsburgh, that's currently ranked number 24, but there may not be other teams on that schedule that's going to catapult them back into playoff contention. So they're up against it, and they dropped a very, very bad game on Saturday against SMU.
Yeah, next week on the show, JD Boss, Metro Cat, with the Rail Boy, he's going to be on the show next week to really break down what's going on with the Canes. Hopefully they win this week, so we can at least talk a little positive.
Yes.
But he was in Dallas last week, so he was at that loss, and we'll see. So shifting gears, hockey. The Panthers obviously are defending Stanley Cup champions. They're not playing too well. They're currently 6-6, sitting at 500. They have the least amount of points in the Eastern Conference. Of course, it's very, very early. Hockey just started, 2-3 weeks ago? But they got to start putting it together. Whatchamacallit, Barkov, obviously we know that's not going to happen for many, many months.
Yeah.
But Matthew Tkachuk is slated to come back next month. So hoping that all is still on schedule for Matthew Tkachuk to come back and healthy.
They play tonight. They're on the West Coast. They got the LA Kings tonight and the San Jose Sharks on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then they close out the road trip in Las Vegas on Monday night. Speaking of the San Jose Sharks, Mark mentioned on the on last week's show that he invited his wife Rusty on his first date. A San Jose Sharks game. So that was an awesome point in last week's show, and so that was a cool story to come out of that. All right,
Devils Canadians tonight. Great game so far.
Yeah, should be a good one.
Good hockey season. We spoke about the Heat earlier, but just thoughts and prayers to Coach Spo, whose house was completely engulfed in flames this morning at 4:30. Completely destroyed in Coral Gables. He is saying that he's going to coach tomorrow night, and obviously the community will rally up behind him, but just a terrible, complete loss for Coach Spo and his belongings.
Yeah, I mean, his belongings is one thing. Thankfully nobody was in the house.
Kids weren't
so
there.
So everybody say that's the first thing to stress here. But yeah, they were on the road. They were at Denver, where they took a tough loss last night, and then to come into town and see that's got to be aggravating.
And they showed a picture of him just standing in front of his house distraught. So that was just devastating.
Yeah, that's tough to see. And also, Bam Adebayo was hurt in last night's game. He had an MRI today. At last look, he did not designate him with an injury yet, but a lot of people were saying that he's probably going to miss some time here, especially with the game coming up on Friday and a game as early as Monday after that. So Bam's probably going to miss a couple of games, which is tough because you're already out without Tyler Hero. So let's see what the Dolphins do.
Mr. RF in the house.
I said the Dolphins. I'm sorry. What the Heat do.
I know Heat. And there's also been some talk about Khalil Ware and just not really meshing well with Coach Spo. Nothing like personally, just his coaching style. That's another thing going on with Khalil Ware, somebody we had high hopes for. So just whatever right now with the Heat. It's just
Russ is in the house. So Russ, welcome. You coming in late here. I'll throw up the question really quick. Here are your questions. So definitely check that out there and then comment if you can, or do it after the show. We'll leave that up for a second. Last thing I want to talk about here is
we have 706 Fins Fan 684. Great show, guys. Thanks, Ryan.
That's Tim. That's Tim over in Augusta.
Oh, 706 to 305.
That's right. What's up, Tim? Where are you, buddy?
That's a lot of numbers and letters. I was like 706 Fins Fan 684, but hey.
So last thing I want to get in here is Inter Miami.
Yeah.
Inter Miami is set to play a winner-take-all game on Saturday at Chase Stadium over in Fort Lauderdale. This is the last year of that stadium, so that very well could be their last game if they're unable to win. And look, it's a big legacy game for Messi. I know he's won a lot of other games, and the MLS is like on the back burner, but still, for him to, his goal to come here was to show that not only is he still the best player in the world, but to put U.S. soccer on the map. And you can only do that if you win when it counts and win the championship in this league. Correct. So, they got a huge game, obviously. It's a must-win for them. It's a do or die. The first round is best of three. So, this is a put up or shut up time for Messi.
Yeah, and you mentioned the last year the stadium. Their new stadium is being built on the 836, which is the Dolphin Expressway, right next to the Miami International Airport. I pass it every day on my way to work, every day on my way home, and I'm glad your report is coming up nice. So, construction in Miami is not always the fastest, but it is being constructed relatively quickly.
Yeah, and so look around the league really quick in the NFL. Tonight, you got the Raiders and Broncos are about to kick off in about 20 minutes. The Falcons and the Colts are playing in Berlin at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time this Sunday. That'll be the first game.
Gets to go international.
That's right. He got cleared, so he will be lining up for the Colts against the Falcons on Sunday. Pats and the Bucks, that's a big game. Our guest tonight, Ryan, will definitely be watching that. Ryan Talbot will be watching to see what the Pats do, because they are currently in first place with a 7-2 record, and the Bucks are 6-2. So that's going to be a good matchup. The Rams and the 49ers matchup in the 4:00 game highlighted that on Sunday. The Rams are 6-2 and the 49ers are 6-3. The Steelers and the Chargers play on Sunday Night Football. Steelers 5-3 and the Chargers 6-3. And then lastly, Russ, you're in the room. Monday Night Football is the Eagles 6-2 and the Packers 5-2-1 on Monday Night Football. Kirk, don't go anywhere because I got a shout out for you. I want to definitely shout out.
I need to also do my picks as you're talking, so keep going.
Yes, get your picks in.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So Kirk, I definitely want to shout out Kirk and the whole tailgate crew you mentioned. So we got Neil, we got Matt, and of course Kathy, Marks, the extraordinary.
We have a great tailgate, guys, in the east lot. So that's closest to the Turnpike, right over the pedestrian bridge. If you ever come to Hard Rock Stadium, come visit us. We do such a nice thing. Kathy, the chef, just great hospitality. Great. So guys, come over. Not the orange, yellow. Just stop by, and we'd love to see you.
They're all great, but I want to definitely specifically point out Timmy, who did an amazing gesture that he had for me on last week's episode. I professed my love for bobbleheads. By now, everybody knows it. So Tim had in his possession a bobblehead that he is, by the way, he supports the Dolphins, but he is an Eagles fan. Russ, you'll appreciate that. So Tim, being an Eagles fan and also a Phillies fan, had no use for a Pittsburgh Pirate bobblehead, so he gifted me Willie Stargell, this amazing Willie Stargell bobblehead in this classic Pittsburgh Pirate helmet, or cap, I should say, and their old school 1970s uniform. So, Tim, thank you so much for this. This definitely went to a good home, and I definitely appreciate it and love it. So thank you, Tim. All right, so I got that.
Also, sorry, I'm just doing my picks. I totally forgot about that.
Get your picks in. Yes, Pops. Willie Stargell, Pops. That's the man. I'm very appreciative. You see in the back, number 8 with a Stargell on there. So, Tim, thank you for this. Kirk, let him know that I gave him a shout out to thank him for that. Also want to thank Dustin and Katie. Who joined us in Atlanta. We had a great time with them. They got there early as well, so we were able to spend some time with them on Thursday watching the game at Skoll between the Chargers and the Vikings.
Oh, that was such a great time.
That was a great time. And so we get to hang out with them, and we had a great time with them in Atlanta. And they were generous enough to send us an amazing cheese arrangement. You love cheese. I love cheese. So we definitely, appreciate that. So thank you so much, Dustin and Katie. Let me pull it up real quick so you can see it. So you got the info there?
You want to cut the cheese?
No, cut the cheese. No.
The cheese is from the Cheese Shop Inc. The Cheese Shop or Shop?
Cheese Shop. The Cheese Shop.
I can't read it. The Cheese Shop Inc.com. It is fantastic. The one that I'm mostly looking forward to eating is the Parmesan rigatoni. I'm actually going to cut this into my Caesar salad tonight. Yeah, and I had this already, the hatch pepper cheese. So, and the garlic and herb, can't go wrong with that, right? So 100% thank you guys for this. This is amazing. We've been enjoying it, and we greatly appreciate that. Are you looking at the cheese? You're looking at my picks.
That too.
I know. I was looking at this.
So thank you, Dustin and Katie, for that great, very nice gesture. All right, so there you have it. That's our show for this week. Again, Russ, get your picks in if you have not done so already. Well, not you. I'm talking about Russ.
Sorry.
Russ, get your picks in. Big game on Sunday. The Dolphins, are they going to fight with what's left, or are they going to just roll over and play dead? We shall see. Again, thank you to our guest, Ryan Talbot. Definitely follow him. And if you're watching our next Twitter, come on over to YouTube, like tonight's episode, and subscribe to the channel. Until then, until next week, fins up, guys.
Hey, guys.